All right. Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody. We are live on Facebook. I am also going to go live on my podcast show. As I had said earlier or late last week, we're going to be bringing on some New Mexicans live on New Mexico. We're going to bring them on live because, the governor's been hiding everybody. The governor comes on every week. We know what our lockdowns are right now in New Mexico and in other states, and they're very extreme. This governor does not seem to be or cares to take people serious in New Mexico. She doesn't face the people like politicians should do. She doesn't take questions from her constituents. Every week in, week out, she is taking questions from the same people that are either with the media or, of her choice. So we decided on New Mexico that we are going to take the voices of the people to her. And we do have our live audience with us, so you will see the comments come through from our live viewers. So first and foremost, I want to welcome Christy. She is our first guest here. And, we are just going to use and open up the lines and just allow her to give your comments. Christy, you can say how these lockdowns have been affecting you, how they have affected your families, and those around you, your friends. And, if there's anything and just anything that you want, any comments, questions that you want to share with this governor and with your fellow New Mexicans, that's what we are opening up the floor for you.
Well,
welcome,
Thank
Christy.
You're
so welcome, hon. Now, first, and just let everybody know exactly what lockdowns have done.
My name's Christy Ledesma. I've lived in New Mexico my whole life, 47 years. I have 4 kids. 2 of them are currently enrolled in the Farmington Municipal Schools. Of course, they're not able to go to school, so they're stuck at home in front of a laptop. I understand the pandemic, like in the spring of 2020, and sending the kids home, but 9 months later, and we have a better understanding of the COVID-19 virus.
Yes.
All of our kids are still being forced to stay at home. The studies have found that schools are not super spreaders. They're not. There's private schools, there's daycares that are open with there's been no reported outbreaks or closings because of that.
And we're learning this more and more. We are really understanding that the science doesn't make sense, right?
It doesn't. There's no sense behind it, whatever. The governor is wants to keep us in fear. And it's affecting everybody, but there's social, emotional, and academic benefits that children get with school learning, with other peers. The problem is politics with their selfish agendas is what's keeping our children locked at home.
Yeah.
And how dare these adults make innocent children suffer for a virus that has a 99% recovery rate.
Right.
Unions the New Mexico teachers unions are aligned with the Democratic Party and candidates. And the teachers unions in New Mexico were actually the major contributors to Grisham's campaign in 2018. So when people want to say that, the kids not going to school, it's for their safety, that's not true. It is political. It is.
And there's and what are, how are your children sharing with you? I know listening to my daughters with my grandkids, I get calls from them all the time because they're trying to work from home. Some of them have to work from home because New Mexico is shut down, businesses are shut down. And so even though she has an office job, they forced her to work at home. So she's trying to keep up with her deadlines with work as well as be a full-time teacher. Right. And it's really affecting, everybody inside of the household, because how can my daughter meet deadlines and then as well as force her children to meet school deadlines? And, I get calls all the time and just frustration and tears because it's been really tough.
It is. And my husband and I both have to work outside of the home, we don't have the option to stay home, to be here with our kids. And a lot of parents don't. And some of those children are too young to be left alone in front of a screen.
Yep, I agree.
My son is, experiencing severe migraines because of all the screen time.
Oh no.
Really hurting his eyes. My daughter, she wants to go to school. She's depressed. She wants to be around her friends. They need it. They need to be around their peers. And I just can't believe this is 9 months later and they're still sitting at home. They're not learning.
Right now, they're through the APS, up here in the APS district. I know they're going through different meetings right now to decide whether they're going to continue the school year. And like she was saying, our kids need to be back in school. I mean, that interaction is very needed. Yeah. And a lot of our kids are in sports. That has been taken away. Things that give kids outlets and allows them to be kids. They can't do that stuff just on TV, and on the just doing it over online. Yeah. And the teachers, many of the teachers who don't want to do this online stuff, they see that they can't keep these kids entertained. There's just no way to have them interacting with them. A lot of the kids are just, they basically put it on because they know they have to be there, but they're not even, interacting with the teachers. The teachers teaching, and they're just sending a big old thick amount of worksheets just to, send them home as busy work. Yeah. And these kids that have special needs, they're the ones that are hurting the worst. They need the interaction. My sister, she works up north, and she works with all these special need kids, and it's hard because you have these kids that have Asperger's, that have different problems. All of them have different problems, and they can't be in front of a screen. A screen is not going to help them. In fact, like she was saying, the screen hurts their eyes. They have different things that affect them differently than your normal day kid, and it's just affecting them even worse. I have a friend up here in Rio Rancho that her daughter is pulling her hair out. I mean, literally yanking out her hair. And it's just disgusting.
It is. And Christy, and is there anything else that you want to share as far as, we know that it's hard on the children and we know it's hard on the parents, but what else is day-to-day life like for your family and those that you love, just living in a state that is, shuts down, opens up a little bit, shuts back down, and, taking away businesses. You can't go eat at a restaurant. You can't shop freely. You have to worry about mask training, even though, you don't, you feel that you don't want to wear it. It's your right. So how else has that affected you?
Well, I can talk a little bit about my husband's job and what the governor has done with the oil field. And, the oil field is being pushed out. The company that he's worked for years, I mean, there's been major layoffs. And so we go month to month, not knowing if he's going to have a job, if we're going to have to leave New Mexico because she has pushed all of that out. And that's a scary, I mean, he is, the breadwinner for our family, and we would have to up and leave New Mexico. I don't want to have to leave. It's my home state. I love it. I love the people. The only thing is just the governor. She just, I don't know. So, but yeah, my kids are struggling in school. We don't know month to month if my husband will have a job. It's depressing. The long lines. You should see the lines in Farmington if you want to go to the store on a Saturday. Even though they've lifted the 75-person restriction to 25% capacity, there's still lines wrapped around our grocery stores. Old people standing out in the cold. A lot of old people don't have the ability they don't have smartphones. They can't do an Instacart or order online and have it picked up. They don't know how to do that. Some of them don't have family to do that for them. And it breaks my heart.
That's hard.
And these people standing like in bread lines is pretty much what I call them.
It's ridiculous. And there are a lot of people that even follow that when I shared, because my daughter, was FaceTiming me live while she was waiting at the store. And it made me so angry. It was so cold. It was 35 degrees outside and it was nighttime, and she had just worked 9 hours to have to go stand in line so that she can get some food to feed my grandson. She stood in line in 35 degrees for an hour in our teacher. That's
for shopping that would
ridiculous.
probably take her 15 minutes
Yeah,
to go in and out.
15 minutes.
In and out. But
In
people
and out.
standing together in lines
Yes.
in the cold. It makes no sense. It makes no
And is there
sense.
any comments and questions that you have for this governor?
I apologize. I didn't hear you, Melinda.
Oh, no worries, Hannah. I said, are there any comments and questions that you want to say to this governor?
Well, there's so many questions. Suicides. How many suicides has happened in 2020 with children, with, parents
Adults
that can't provide for their families, that have been laid off, cannot find work. She hasn't addressed anything on suicides at all during this pandemic, not one time. And I don't know.
No, she did one time, but just to clarify, she did very briefly, and she did once. But she said that what their studies showed was that it had everything to do with children being bullied.
Oh yeah,
and
I do
so,
remember watching that.
That they were bullied, but I don't understand how children are bullied when they're not in school.
Right.
So she wanted everybody to know that the suicides, via their investigation and what they found and concluded, was that these children were being bullied.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
But they
that's
know
not
how untrue that is, because we've had heart-to-heart talks with these parents, and their children got depressed. They spoke about not being in school. They spoke about not, fearing that they won't have a future anymore because they can't be with their friends. So these parents know their children better than anybody. They weren't being bullied. The only one that they were being bullied by was this governor.
Yes.
And
there's absolutely a link between even being outside in the sun towards suicide. These kids are on the, if you think about it, from the time they wake up, I don't know, ours starts at 8:45, they end about 11:30, and they get one little break, and then they're back on, so you figure they're inside the home in front of a TV without being in sunlight. And all of that leads to depression. Just the whole mechanisms of how this thing works that they thought was going to work to keep our kids safe is actually making our kids even more prone to suicide, more prone to cyberbullying, more prone to just being isolated in a way where they're not able to get help. And most programs are closed down too. You don't have your counselors. You don't have different people that can actually, help these kids while they're at school. They have things that they can go, they have somewhere to go.
So we know she's lying. She's just making stuff up.
Well, parents are stressed. It's bringing up stress levels on everybody. You have stressed parents, you have stressed kids, you have stressed teachers. I mean, you go to the stores now, and anywhere you go, just to go and do some shopping or whatever else, and people are stressed and hateful. I mean, you go to a restaurant with the outside dining, and you're very lucky if you even get somebody that's really nice to you, because customer service has gone down. Everybody is just so stressed. The mass, everything is just frustrating. And like she said, people don't even know if they're going to have a job in the following week, or they're going to be closed down, or it's just awful. It's just the unknown is really hurting people.
Absolutely. Thank you, Christy.
And in being in such a rural area as well. I mean, New Mexico is very rural. It can't be assumed that every child has internet, or a child needs to walk to a hot spot to get internet. I wouldn't allow my kids to walk and sit outside of a school with no adult supervision. There's abductions, there's crazy people. That's expected too of our children. I don't know.
Well, in Albuquerque alone, they said that there's a lot of students that are not they didn't enroll this year. So
they're not even involved.
They're not doing any of this in schooling, and it's really hard to pinpoint where they're at or what they're doing. But I don't know. It's just an overall sad thing, you know,
It is.
and the sad thing is our kids are suffering really bad, you know, along
Kids
with
are
everybody else.
suffering.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Well, Christy, we wanna thank you. We've got some other folks on
Thank
here
you,
with us,
ladies.
and we're gonna get this out there. We've got so many more people that are gonna come on, and they're gonna express their frustrations and concerns
Mhm.
just like you are, and we're gonna make sure that your voices are heard.
All right.
Okay,
Well,
and
thank you, ladies, so much for everything you do. We
you are
Bye,
so
we
sweetie.
really
God
welcome.
bless
appreciate
you.
you.
God
God
bless you.
bless you, hon.
Okay.
And, so just everybody keep, Christy and her family in prayers like we do for everybody, every other New Mexican. And, I'm going to bring on a couple of other guests that we have
All
here
right.
with us. And
Right.
thank you, Christy, for being a
Okay.
part of this.
All right.
And God bless you. Okay,
God bless you,
sweetheart?
ladies.
Thank
Bye.
And
you.
one thing I was gonna just add real quick before Christy gets off is, get a little group together with like-minded moms and people, and do group things. That's what we've been trying to do up here in Rio Rancho. I don't know
Yeah.
what area you're from, and get together, and just, we don't have to abide by all this. There's a lot of stuff that we have control of,
Mhm.
and we are forced through the public school system on how they're going to handle stuff, but try to counter that with what you can do on your own, and like I said, that's what we've been doing with our kids, because they do need to interact with others.
They do.
So
Absolutely.
anyway, God bless you.
All
I'm
right.
so sorry I got in
Bye-bye.
here late, but it was
You're
nice to meet
fine.
you.
Bye, sweetheart. Thank you, Christy.
Bye.